doing it twice, you can remember. I'm going to go ahead and get moving on this to go over it, and that way, if people do want to go out and cheer on our fellow classmates, we can go do that, and people can still stay and study if they don't want to. So instead of waiting for this. So how'd this first one go? Yay? Nay? Okay? All right, so mostly yays, right? So again, these are the types of problems you should expect to see, like after lunch, right? But hopefully you're able to detect some patterns, right? So we talked about this first one. This is essentially filtering down something based off of a set of criteria of what not to include, right? So this is really similar to like the disembowel problem that we've gone over a couple times, right? It's that same type of idea, and so let's program that in a similar way. So first thing we do is declare a function, const, remove elements is what this one's called, and it says it takes in 2 arrays. So I saw a lot of people put in 1 array. Right, we got to read the problem. It takes in 2 arrays, array 1 and array 2. And it's a function, and it says first array contains elements that should not be in the second array. And then return a new array without those elements. So, right, I could use filter, but to make this an even closer parallel to like disembowel so we can really kind of dive into the pattern, I'm not going to, because right, disembowel is a string, so you can't use filter on it unless we were to split it and then filter. Also, very like possible thing to do. But for now, we can say like we need a new array, right? So let output, and that's going to give us our new empty array. So now we just need to loop through that second array. So we could say, hey, for let I is 0, so we'll start at the very beginning, while I is less than array2.length, I plus plus. So now this is going to allow us to access every element in that second array. So then what's the goal? What do we need to check for?
The elements in the first array are included in the second array.
Okay, or even more specifically, does this first array include this specific element? Right? Because we're looping through elements of the second array. So we can say like, hey, if array1 dot includes our array 2 at I. So if it includes this element, well then we wouldn't want to add it. But we would want to include it. We would want to add it if it doesn't. If it doesn't include it. So if array 1 does not include this element from array 2, what do we need to do? Right, we need to push it. So we'll say output dot push array 2 at I. And then at the very end, right, outside of the for loop, because as soon as you return, the game is over. So we can only return one thing. We can return our output. And we can run it and check. Okay, let's lift this sucker up a bit. Say node index. Freaks out, of course. Unexpected syntax error. No. Yeah. It's all this random crap. I don't know why they I gotta like remove that shortcut. That's like so annoying. There's so much in this unit1 review file at this point. Alright, let's try again. Alright, still totally upset. Output is not defined. Yep. Right, spelled it wrong. That's good feedback. Not console logging our result, so it's showing nothing. right? Because we have to console log whatever this is evaluating to. And that's how I can test it in this environment. And we made it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 10. Okay. I saw some people write this a really slick way, specifically Milber. I don't see it now, but he said we could remove. This is less parallel to the disembowel, but it was like let remove else takes an array 1, array 2, and we could just say array 2 dot filter elements array 1 dot includes element not includes, right? This will also work for this problem. Still works, right? So that's a really slick way of writing it. But this is a way that's more pattern driven that we can continue to repeat even if they were like strings, right? So it's just like slight changes. This one is more of, well, it's pretty similar still. It's just filtering instead of creating this new array. I was just going over your solution. Pretty slick. All right. Good. Milber's like, oh, I'm going to come in randomly more often. Okay. All right. Next one was write a function that takes an array of strings and returns the second longest string. How do we do on this one? Yay? Nay? Okay. Right? So what problems does this remind you of? Yeah, right. Second largest number, second smallest number, right? Those are all in the same ballpark, right? It's going to follow the same type of pattern. So let's get to it. So we'll have a function. We'll say const. Henry's not there yet, right? Oh, okay. Const second largest. Well, I can't spell. Well, second largest string, right? It's going to take in a string or an array. What's it take in? An array of strings, right? Okay. So just like before, what do we need to do to solve this? What should we be keeping track of? The largest and the second largest, right? So we say, okay, let largest, and we have to assign that to something. Let's think about that in a minute. Okay, so we have to think of what to assign it. So when we were doing second largest with numbers, what did we use? We used negative infinity for this one, right, I think? So what would be like the equivalent to a negative infinity for a string problem? What's the smallest possible string we could create? Empty string, right? So that seems like that would be what we would want to use. Because that's the equivalent. There is no string smaller. I'm going to go with it. No, I can fix it. It's okay. Largest. This is how I spell largest. I love pronouncing it largest. It's an Oregon thing. You probably wouldn't understand. What? No one's from Oregon? No, yeah, just me. Yeah. I can say whatever I want about Oregon. Did you know everybody in Oregon is taller than 6 foot? No, you guys would be blown away. Okay. I think Sam might be from Oregon. Okay, so for this, right, we need to. What's our next conceptual step? What? Yeah, right. We're gonna have to iterate through the array because we're gonna have to look at every element, right? That sounds fair. So I'm gonna do for array.forEach because I might as well use a callback. Each element in this is essentially a string or a word, right? Which do we prefer, string or word? String? Okay. And so what's that first check? What do we care about the most? The length, yeah. But if I have a... So we see the first word. Hello? What's the first thing we would do? We had charges. Right? What's the first thing we would look for?
Amount of letters.
Yeah. Well, what's the comparison?
To the next
We have this.
compared it to the largest.
Yeah, right? We're going to say, hey, is this element a longer string than our current longest? If it is, what needs to happen? Okay, so somebody raised their hand. Rafid.
So if that first array is greater than the largest number, then you can assume that the second largest becomes the largest.
The second largest becomes the largest.
And then you compare that array against the second largest, and the second largest becomes the array. And then you can return that second largest.
All right, so the second largest can't become an array. So
It becomes that string.
okay, I think I hear what you're saying. So he says we have to check to see the length of this word compared to our largest. If it is larger than our largest, we have to do something. Right? So let's just first worry about that. So we'll say like, hey, if string.length is greater than our largest dot-length, right? Because we're actually keeping track of the word. Then we have to decide what we need to do. So in the instance that our largest right now is cat, and this was larger than cat, hello is larger than cat, what's the order? How's things have to work? Yeah, Danielle?
Cat would have to become the second largest, and then hello becomes the largest.
Okay, so she says it's got to go in that pattern, that order. Right? Because otherwise, if we were to replace largest with cat, then with hello, then cat would just kind of disappear. So we have to reassign it while we still have it. So we'll say second largest is equal to largest. And we'll say largest, I don't know what keeps happening. Largest is equal to string. So far, so good. So what about, now we have cat here. We have hello here. And we come up with a word that's called for. What needs to happen now? Because this doesn't match our first condition, right? 4 is smaller than hello. It's only 4 letters long. Hello is 5. Okay, so she says we need an else if statement. Checking for what?
If the current string at dot-length is greater than the second largest string.
Okay. I like that, right? So this is in this instance where it wasn't larger than our largest, but it is larger than our second largest. And so if that's true, what do we need to do? Somebody else? Maria? Okay, I like it. Anything left for us to do here? Karen? We have to return, okay. And where should I do that? Line 353? Okay. Return second largest. Looks pretty good to me. Looks good to you? Let's test it. Log, and we will say second largest string, and we can pass in some array. We'll say hello for cat 5. Interesting, right? So this is going to give us a little funny example. It says 4. So 4 and 5 are a tie, so it just took whichever one was first. It took that because we were comparing for larger than instead of larger equal to. So that's something to just be aware of, right? We say fiver, we'll get fiver. Brennan.
I don't understand why you said second largest equal to
In this one, line 416? Okay. All right, ready, Brandon? Our largest is currently cat. The word we're on is hello. We got to do some reassignment, right? This is larger than our largest. So tell me what you're thinking. Well, we have to assign second largest to cat first. Why? Okay, so first let's pretend we assign largest to the current element. Okay, so largest becomes hello. Then what? This is all here. Then there's no cat anymore. We've already reassigned it, so we lost that value. Okay. If we did it in the other order, right? So we've got cat as the current largest. This is the scene. Don't worry about the code. We've come across the word hello. We have to decide. We know that in the end, second largest needs to have the value of cat, right? And largest needs to have the value of hello. Do we agree on that?
Oh, so it's only those two. It's only those two in the array. That's what you're trying to say.
No, this is just a situation we're at, because we only get to look at one element at a time. The program doesn't look at the whole array at once. So for all intents and purposes, sure, right now there's only 2 elements in the array. We've seen one, we've marked it as the largest, we're now looking at another one. So we know that the final outcome has to be second largest pointing to cat, and largest pointing to hello. Right? In the situation we're in right now, if we assign largest to be the new current largest first, like this, it would go like this. Largest is equal to our current word, which would become hello. But now there's no cat on the board, because we just reassigned its value, so we lost its value. So going back, if we want to have that, we have to say second largest is equal to largest. So that way cat becomes here. So now we have 2 cats for a second. And then it says largest is equal to the new word. So it becomes hello. Hello. Cool? Okay. Any other questions? All right. So it's 12 o'clock. All right, we're going to take this after lunch. Oh no, the clock on the wall is wrong. That's good. So you have 2 hours to work on your miscellaneous, right? If I were you, I was just going through past like warm-up problems from the last 2 weeks and making sure you could do like problems like this very easily. talking about things like how we converted strings to numbers and numbers to strings, making sure we still remember how to check if something is NaN. Just those types of things, like try to look back at all the hints I've thrown, and that's what I would study for the next 2 hours. Okay, also you can go to the marathon. I think I'm going to try to go to that. Hopefully I will support our classmates. All right? Thank you. Good.